We know that the Panthers practice facility in Rock Hill has been a stop-and-go project for months now, as Tepper Sports fights with the city over how payment is going to happen. They're telling us that cleanup is now underway. So this morning I'm standing on exit 83. This is where the detour is. It's Sutton Road, right over I-77. I'm going to have you take a look all the way down to where this accident happened, and that cleanup is now underway. So we know that this was a multi-car collision, and one of those cars was a fuel tanker. So when you get zoomed in here, you're actually going to be able to see that round vehicle from the back. We're told that that is the additional fuel tanker that was brought in. They need to pump out the fuel into this new vehicle so that way they are then able to clean up the accident that happened. Abby, we don't know just yet. Usually Cass has been tweeting out an update just a few minutes after 6. That's right in the window we're in right now, so I'm constantly refreshing their Twitter feed to see if we can get an update this morning. Actually, it looks like as I'm speaking right now, one just came through on my phone, so I'm actually going to pull that up here on my Twitter. Today they're saying that bus operators, they're going to have 88 bus operators out. And today's scenario involved multiple victims and this giant overturned school bus. First responders were out here earlier putting the bus on its side so that way they could run through this. And if you actually follow me around to the back, you can see where first responders used the jaws of life to pry open the door, cut off this panel, and be able to safely remove the victims that were trapped inside of the bus. It's dark and early, so I'm expecting those students to still be in bed, getting a few last minutes of sleep before they have to go to class today, but we're keeping an eye out for those first ones that arrived to campus. But we did talk to these students as they were moving in. They shared their hopes with us for this coming school year. This is the monument everyone is talking about, but it's that word, monument, that has the whole process tied up in deciding whether it stays or goes. Let's talk about why this is such a big problem. Just take a look around. You can see the amount of damage that was done in that press conference. It was the first time that we're hearing from Ethan Rivera's family, and in their message, they shared with us more about his life, how he was a father of 2 and a man that had moved here just 2 years ago from New York for a better life. But we do know that this fire broke out shortly before midnight in the Hidden Valley neighborhood in Northeast Charlotte. This morning, I am joined by Tommy Viola. He is the VP of Communications for the Charlotte Tonight. And Tommy, I know that there is a lot of excitement for tonight, so tell us a little bit about what people can look forward to today. Right now, if you want a speed cushion in your neighborhood, you have to go around with a petition and get 60% of property owners, so not renters or tenants, but property owners, to sign this petition saying, yes, I want a speed cushion. I think the numbers are really what surprise you when you start to dig into them. So more than 30% of Charlotte neighborhoods are without sidewalks. More than 50% of main roads in Charlotte are without sidewalks. And of course, the places that are more impacted are going to be your low-income communities. And these are the people that they need buses, they need bus stops, they need sidewalks the most. There have been 115 justices on the U.S. Supreme Court. All but 7 have been white men. A black woman has never been nominated until now. All right, everyone, I'm going to need you to cue up Dolly Parton's 9 to 5 in your head for this one. So, work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. That's the typical work week schedule for most people. This morning, a new study is looking into the effects of working 4 days a week. How good does that sound? Michelle Faulkner is a homebody.
Because I'm like, oh, do I gotta go?
But not by choice. Her vision loss started about 6 years ago.
At first, it was depressing.
Now legally blind and receiving regular dialysis treatment for failing kidneys, she's no longer getting behind the wheel of a car.
And then I had to depend on friends and family, which very quickly run out. Because, I mean, they have lives too. They can't just dedicate every day, you know, to my whatever I need.
So she turned to the Charlotte area transit system in their paratransit services. The service is available to those who can't access fixed bus routes because of a disability. Michelle qualified, but she was told she still couldn't get service.
I almost cried. I just felt like it was the end of the world. I was like, well, what else am I supposed to do?
The City of Charlotte's website says it follows the Americans with Disabilities Act, which provides paratransit services to anyone living within 3/4 a mile of a bus stop. This is CAT's 3,104 bus stops laid out for you, each circled with a 3/4 a mile circumference, meaning all these blank spots, you can't get service. Michelle, she lives right here. If Michelle couldn't get a ride to the closest bus stop 4 miles away, she would have to get there on foot. So I decided to walk it myself. And this is what the majority of the walk looked like. It was unsafe and poor walking conditions. I felt extremely uncomfortable for the majority of this. I've been walking for just shy of an hour. According to my GPS, there's going to be an additional mile for me to actually make it to the closest bus stop, which is inside the Charlotte Douglas International Airport at the terminals. You can see right here, this is where the sidewalk ends, but the majority of this walk, there has been little to no sidewalks. I've had to run across multiple lanes of traffic. Now imagine if you are Michelle going on a trip like this, you are risking your life just to try to get somewhere like the grocery store. I no longer feel safe doing this walk. This is where I'll be stopping today. Sherry Thompson is on the CATS Community Transit Committee and also qualifies for paratransit services.
I work with, to help advocate for better transit here in Charlotte.
Sherry's focused on access to transportation for all, but says she's noticed a disparity for people who sometimes need public transit the most, those on a fixed income.
So to take public transportation, it's, if they don't live close to it, it really hurts them.
Sherry encourages people to reach out to the City of Charlotte ADA coordinator to find out all your options. She also wants to hear your voice, telling your stories.
Let the people in the staff know at CATS, I'm dealing with this. Will there ever be a bus stop? Is it something that will be open someday?
According to CATS data for the month of July, almost 600 people used paratransit services every weekday. Michelle, she isn't one of them. So what solutions have you come up with for yourself? Because now it's up to you.
So now I Uber. I do Uber a lot.
But at $20 a trip, Uber gets expensive.
We just really need help.
What's your hope for the paratransit system?
I would hope that they broaden a little bit, and create like a door-to-door for people like me that doesn't have a close bus stop. We really need that.
This is Oakdale Road. It's just over 6 miles from uptown and nearly impossible to navigate due to a lack of sidewalks and public transportation. Now, imagine this is what you see. How safe do you feel?
I would never live in this neighborhood as a blind person.
Walk down Oakdale Road. There's no sidewalks for us to walk on. Well, try to walk down Oakdale Road, and you're not going to make it far.
What are you going to do?
Crumbling, disappearing, and blocked sidewalks. No marked pedestrian crossings.
I would generally assume in most cities that if I find a crossing point on one side of the intersection, that there will be something across the street when I get there. In Charlotte, that expectation is often disappointed.
The closest bus stop, over a mile away. For Bradley Blair, who navigates the world without his eyesight.
Yes, I do a great deal on foot.
This part of Charlotte can only be safely navigated with the help of a sighted person. Here we go.
What you don't have is your own autonomy to make your own decisions.
As of 2017, 34% of sidewalks were missing along Charlotte's side streets and 54% on main roads. According to the Charlotte Walk Plan, a document designed to improve walkability in the city, the lack of infrastructure is attributed to the city's boom in population and car-centric design. The city wants to change that.
It's the right thing to do.
Terry Bradley is the City of Charlotte's American with Disabilities Act coordinator. He says the city has a plan in place to tackle community accessibility. First, through the Americans with Disabilities Act Transition Plan. Part of this plan would identify physical barriers like the lack of sidewalks and bus stops and address how accessibility can be achieved.
This is a civil rights that everyone has to ensure that they have access to services.
Second, through Charlotte's 2040 Comprehensive Plan, where a major focus is the ability to access goods within 10 minutes by either walking, biking, or skating to your destination. These are also called 10-minute neighborhoods. But until either of those plans go into effect, people like Brad?
Yeah, I want to see some more buses. I want to see more bus stops, more bus drivers, more access for everybody. It's not just a special niche disability interest. It's everybody wins.
They'll need to hurry up and wait for the city to catch up. Both the ADA transition plan and the 2040 comprehensive plan are taking steps to become a reality. The ADA transition plan is set to go before City Council in the next 6 months for the beginning stages of approval. Meanwhile, the policy map that accompanies the 2040 comprehensive plan and helps determine the amount of intensity and the type of development that needs to go into certain parts of the city was approved this week by City Council members. In Charlotte, I'm Lileana Pearson, WBTV, on your side. Most people would call these a speed bump, but the city of Charlotte calls them a speed cushion. No matter what you call them, the purpose is to slow down drivers that are driving down neighborhood streets. But I've found out that if you want one of these on your street, you're going to have a long wait.
His words to me were, it has no expiration date. Even if it takes up to 5 years, it never expires. And I'm thinking, up to 5 years, you know, by then, you pray not, but there could be a fatality.
Catherine Nimmons knows a thing or two about safety.
Oh, Lord.
She started her neighborhood watch, got the speed limit in her neighborhood reduced to 25 miles an hour, and raised her children along this stretch of Catherine Kiker Road.
We've lived in this house for 31 years.
So when she noticed a few people with dangerous driving habits,
they're probably doing 45, 50, and sometimes even more.
She and a few neighbors started the petition process to get a couple speed cushions installed in their neighborhood. Their road qualified, it's 2 lanes and has a speed limit of 25 miles an hour, and they got enough signatures on the petition. The city approved it, and then nothing. Since March of last year, they've waited.
We do pay tax dollars, so where are my tax dollars going?
So when Catherine saw me talking about an unrelated speed cushion story on our newscast, now that the city has a couple different things that they can do to try to slow down the people that are zooming through neighborhoods. So she called me.
It should not have come to the point where we had to reach to the news media.
And I got to work. Here's what I found out. According to the Charlotte Department of Transportation, they have a backlog of 160 speed cushion petitions. These 32 projects have been approved, but in a typical year, the city only installs 20, which has us asking, how did you guys end up with having a backlog of projects like this?
So the backlog is kind of a result of many circumstances coming together and not in the best of fashions.
CDOT Traffic Safety Manager Angela Berry says a swift departure of her predecessor and the contract company, AWP Inc.'s predecessor, meant the right information wasn't shared and speed cushions were installed incorrectly.
He's overused some pieces and not used other pieces that should have been used. And so I'm trying to correct the overused pieces and make enough so that we can get these 30 locations off our backlog list.
The overuse of some material left the city shorthanded for other projects. To fix this, they plan on using up the material they have left, part ways with AWP Inc., and begin building speed cushions with asphalt under a new contractor.
I know these citizens are very concerned. They worked really hard to get these approved for their neighborhoods, and I really want to give them to them, but I want to make sure that it's done correctly.
If all goes well, the city plans to have the backlog cleared by this fall.
I will move heaven and earth to clear this list.
Good news for Catherine, who says she would have rather heard it from the city than from us.
When we reach out to those persons who should implement those things that provide safety and you get no results, what does that say? That says you don't care.
It cost the city of Charlotte around $2,000 to install a speed cushion like this one. I asked the city what it would cost to install one made of asphalt, and CDOT told me they don't know what the price tag would be. In Charlotte, I'm Lileana Pearson, WBTV, on your side.